When you're on to the last 5 kilos, it's a little bit like scaling Mount Everest. You've already taken on a big effort to get very near the top, but although you can see the end in sight, the effort required to get there is going to be next level. I'm Cheryl Takayama. I'm the founder of Y-Weight Academy, an online program that combines food, mindset resources, and accountability to make sure that all weight loss is permanent. And I've helped loads of women in the last 12 years take on this very challenge of how to lose the last 5 kilos. So join me in this video where I'm going to share with you my top tips to help you get to the top. There's a reason that a lot of people in weight loss give up before they reach their goal. Because especially when you're on the last 5 kilos, it's going to take you to a new level that you haven't been to for probably quite a long time. And it requires a different level of attention and action that is possibly required in the beginning when you've got more weight to lose. I like to compare it to maybe a business journey, that idea of going from good to great, or even great to awesome. You know, you've got really close, you're feeling great. The question is, are you willing to take that action to go from great to awesome? And if you are, you will never regret it. That's one thing I know from working with lots of people who have reached that goal. It is a wonderful and amazing thing to achieve. And because it's come with a lot of discipline and effort, it's appreciated even more. But there are definitely some things that you can do to really make this process a bit easier, and some areas to think about that involve both food and mindset that are going to help you just to stay in the game until you get those 5 kilos off. So let me run through my top 10 that's going to help you get cracking now. So, number 1, create an exciting goal. This is the most important one of all, because if you don't have your eye on the prize, it's going to be very, very easy to get distracted and think, I'll do it later, especially when the going gets tough. Now, the best type of goal is one that has a time pressure on it. Nice holiday to Fiji on a tropical beach where you have to get your bikini on. That'll do it. Perhaps a family reunion where you know you're going to be seeing family members again and you want to show up looking really hot. That's a good one as well. Whatever it takes, if you can create an exciting goal, especially one that's time-based, there is no doubt that that is going to help you to stay on track, especially when, things get a little bit more challenging and you want to hit the food. So definitely the goal is very, very important. So number 2, connect to your goal every day. Just writing your goal down and putting it in your drawer somewhere is not gonna do it when you're on your last 5 kilos. You've got to align yourself with your goal frequently, every single day, so that it stays top of your mind. Because life's busy, right? We've got a lot of things going on. So the more often that you connect to your goal, the more it's going to be top of your mind and you're going to be far more likely to achieve it. So how can you do this? Well, the good old actions of self-development and success. Write your goal down on a piece of paper, stick it on your mirror. Sometimes I recommend to people to take a photo of their goal weight, if it's a number or maybe a photo that motivates them, and stick it on their phone. Make it the wallpaper of the phone so that every time they open their phone, they're reminding themselves what they're doing. Put motivational quotes on the mirror, in your kitchen, on the fridge, anywhere that involves food. All of these actions are so helpful to just keep reminding you during the day why you're doing what you're doing and why it's important to you. Number 3, you've got to celebrate every little win like a cheerleader, like your own cheerleader, because those little wins are what is going to get you over the finish line. But no one notices those little wins, do they? Often we don't either, because we're so busy just getting on with things that we don't stop and say, today I managed to really control my portions. I said no when I actually wanted to say yes to that little extra something something. I get my clients to keep a little notebook and write their wins down so that, especially on days when they're feeling a bit frustrated, they can go back to that list and remind themselves, actually, I am showing up for myself. But the key is you've got to celebrate all the little things at this point, because there may not be such big wins when you get to this level here, because it's that accumulation of small actions that really add up to success. So get your little notebook and every night just sit down and write down all those little wins that have helped you take a step forward in your journey. Number 4, tune into hunger. This is the point where you are going to need to be really, really aligned with when you are truly hungry, when that hunger is in your gut and when it's in your head. And there is a big difference, because when you don't have much weight to lose, every single time you're eating when you're not truly hungry, this could hold you back. Now, how do you tell the difference? Well, if you've just had a meal and it's only a couple of hours later, you should not be physically hungry. If you're having a craving or you're tired, maybe you're trying to distract yourself, of course it's going to be emotional eating, which is not a crime, especially if you eat the right thing. However, is it going to hold you back? Possibly, especially if you do it quite often. So you want to discipline yourself to tune into those physical signs of hunger, the rumbling stomach. I mean, you don't want to obviously let yourself get too carried away, especially if you're getting lightheaded, but you really want to challenge yourself to go a good length of time between meals and not snack. I like to say to clients at least 4 hours between meals, 5 if possible. And especially if you're eating a low carb plan, that's very easy to achieve because you're having good protein, you're having healthy fats, so that's going to help keep you satiated between meals. But you want to tune into this hunger and make sure you are eating because you're physically hungry, particularly at night. Ideally, you want to go to bed feeling quite light. Not so hungry that you can't go to sleep, but quite light because it's been a few hours since you've eaten, and that's going to be really, really good for digestion as well. It'll help you sleep better because your body can lay down. It doesn't have to digest food. It can get straight to the job that we want it to do, fat burning. So number 5 is closely related to the one I've just talking about, which is hunger. Number 5, you need to be mindful of every single bite. Now, this is particularly important when you're on the last 5 kilos and you've lost a lot of weight, because in the beginning, you may have been able to get away with a few extra bites. You know, a few of those things that you knew weren't really on the plan, but oh my gosh, I'm doing it and it's still working. I mean, that's great in the beginning, but as you have less and less weight to lose, the chance of those extra bites stopping you from reaching your goal increases. Because as your body gets smaller, quite frankly, it needs less food. So when you get to this point, you need to be mindful of every bite, not just if you're eating, say, carbs or food that's not great. That also includes bites of foods that are on your plan, because every bite counts. And more importantly, from a mindset perspective, if you are having extra bites, maybe when you're preparing the kids' food or leftovers, as a habit, you're continuing this compulsion, this habit to do it, which means that if I took a few bites today of my kids' leftovers, chances are I might be well inclined to do the same thing tomorrow. So you really want to break that habit by just nipping it in the bud, stopping those extra bites, and really trying to focus on having good meals with nothing in between. You need to go to bed earlier because sleep is your fat burning superpower. And sleep is not the same before midnight as it is after midnight. This is what you have to know. The hours before midnight are far more restorative, deep sleep than what happens after midnight. Now, this makes a big difference in fat burning. If you want your body to be able to maximize fat burning, you need to go to bed earlier because it's those hours before midnight that count the most. So if you're staying up, watching Netflix, maybe getting that to-do list done, you are missing out on precious fat burning time. And I promise you, it makes a big difference. Now, there are many practitioners and experts who I follow who put sleep as number 2 in importance after food when it comes to weight loss, even more important than exercise, because it really does make such a difference. If you don't get enough sleep or you go to bed too late, it's going to have an impact on your appetite regulation the next day, on your energy, And as I've already said, it's going to stop you from being able to burn the maximum amount of fat. So stop faffing around, set an alarm on your phone for 9:30 and get your butt to bed. Number 7, keep a food diary. I know people hate keeping a food diary. It's a pain in the ass, but I tell you what, it works because it helps keep you accountable. It keeps you accountable to your meals, to your portion sizes, and stops you eating any little bits, because if you have to write it down, you might be a bit more mindful of not doing it in the first place. Look, I have helped lots of people nail the last few kilos, and I'll tell you what I know for sure. People who keep a food diary get better results and faster results. That is all there is to it. If you want to achieve maximum results as fast as possible, write your food down every single day. Number 8, water. The more you drink, the more you shrink. Water is so important to help you in fat burning because number 1, it actually helps your body physically remove fat. Number 2, it keeps your energy levels high. Now, as we're getting to lower fat stores, your body's going to be resisting burning fat, and burning fat requires energy. So anything that your body is trying to do that's using energy, that's potentially going to take energy away from what we want our body to do, which is burn fat. So if you're dehydrated, your body's going to use precious energy to sort that out because, of course, our hydration levels are super important. So by drinking more water, you're giving your body a better chance of staying hydrated, keeping all your energy levels good so that your body's got energy to do what we want it to do, which is burn fat. Aside from that, not drinking enough water is also a form of stress, and stress is what you don't want when you are trying to lose the last few kilos. So don't stock up on Coke or sugar-free drinks or lots of caffeine. Swap some of those out for water and make sure you're getting at least 2 liters per day, if not 3. Number 9, you gotta shake it up, baby. Our bodies are so good at adapting to what we do, right? Because your body doesn't want to lose fat. It wants to hold on to it for survival. If you want to see a new result, you've got to take new action. That's all there is to it. Now, you can do this in lots of ways. You might alternate your calories during the week. So you do some days of higher calories, some days of lower calories. With clients, I also do this with carbs. We do some higher carb days, which still are not that high, but then some really low carb days. You might experiment with intermittent fasting. Whatever you try, the key thing to remember is that if you're trying something new, you've got a chance of getting new results. And quite frankly, that is so important when you've got less than 5 kilos to lose. You have got to keep shaking it up. This is why in my program, I introduce a new weight loss strategy every single month so that people are going to be far less likely to plateau. This is the thing, you've got to keep your body guessing what's coming next, because if your body catches up to you, it's going to adapt, it's going to slow that fat burning down, and that is not going to help you get to the finish line. You've got to be one step ahead of the game and keep your body guessing what's coming next. The last tip I want to give you today is about accountability. This is probably one of the most important of all, because being accountable to someone else greatly increases your chance of showing up when you'd love to give up. Now, this can be a friend, get your friend involved and say, right, I've got a goal, I want to reach it by this time. Please, can you hold me accountable? Hopefully you may have a significant other in your life that you can also call on to help. Or if you don't have either of those things, or you just don't want to talk about it with those people, you can always come and work with a professional, because goodness knows that that's helped many of my clients to do what's required to get themselves over the line. And I myself still see a nutritionist. I have kept my weight off for 23 years. I've kept off 30 kilograms that I lost in my 20s. And I've also gained and lost 40 kilos of pregnancy weight. The reason I've been able to do that, I still see a nutritionist. I check in with my nutritionist every month or 6 weeks and just look at what's going on, my actions, my results, and show up for myself. This is how I haven't gained the weight back. So being accountable to somebody else really is critical. You might not have needed it to get to this point, but I tell you what, it makes a massive difference to get you from Great to awesome. I would say it's almost essential because it's very easy at this point to give up. So you need to be accountable to somebody else, so that's going to help you get over the finish line. So look, I hope those tips are of use for you. Let me just finish by sharing my own story of how I turned things around to get to my final goal. Last year, towards the end of the year, I had this pesky little 2 kilos to lose and I could not budget. But that's because I wasn't taking the actions, right? I mean, New Zealand was in lockdown. It was tricky times, but still, all excuses aside, I knew exactly what I was doing. And for me, it's those little bites of kids' food. You know, it's all those little things that just weren't quite in alignment to get that last 2 kilos off. So I created an exciting goal for myself. I set myself a goal for a couple of weeks before Christmas. It was a financial reward. And I said, Cheryl, if you can get to your goal weight, which for me was 64, you can get the money. And I wanted that money because I wanted to buy something lovely for myself for Christmas. So setting that goal, having a financial incentive, most definitely got me to pull my finger. And of course, I set the goal with my nutritionist as well. I was going to show up at her office on a certain day and I wanted to see that 64. And you know, it's that really helped me just take that alignment to look at all of these areas, all the things that I've just talked about with you, and make sure that I was doing everything required. And when I did that, it took me about 8 weeks, but I got it off and I got to my 64. And you know, achieving that goal really was, I felt so proud of it, and it really gave me even more confidence in summer. Now, no one else noticed, but I noticed. And there was this really lovely little pair of cute denim shorts that I bought in Brazil that were a bit tight. And I know the previous summer I hadn't worn them because they were too tight. Whereas last year, I wore those shorts and they looked great. They were quite loose. And every time I wore those shorts, I just felt so, so happy that I'd taken the effort to get myself exactly where I wanted to be. You know, losing those last 5 kilos does require an extra level of effort, but it is so worth it. So I encourage you to go for it. Don't give up. Set your goal, get those actions in place, and just keep taking steps forward every single day. And if you need support or accountability, come and work with me because I would love to help you reach the top.